Hey guys, it's Sarah. If you're new here and you enjoy the strange unusual, please like and subscribe. And if you're a usual here, thank you so much for tuning in. Today is another late night story time video. I hope you guys enjoy. I figured I would post two different sets of videos because it's Valentine's Day and this is me showing my love to y'all. So I hope you enjoy these spooky stories. As usual, they're off Reddit. Some might be true, some might just be made up, put together, written. But either way, they have the paranormal feel to them, and they're just perfect to be listening to. So, hope you guys enjoy, and I am going to dive on in. When I was around 12, my mother had to go out of town for a bit, and she left me home alone for a few days. We lived close to relatives, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me back then. She refused to give me a mobile phone because she figured she could just call me on the landline if anything came up. She told me the date when she'd be back, and that was that. The date arrives, and I hear my mom knocking on the door downstairs, calling my name. My dog, who loved her, got excited when she heard her voice and ran down ahead to greet her. She got to the door, freaked the hell out, and ran back upstairs to me. I refused to go down and open the door. The phone started ringing and the knocking stopped. I picked up the phone to hear my mom say, "Hey, sorry, I have to stay one more day here. I'll head home tomorrow." Someone/something pretended to be my mom. Didn't fool the dog. When I was growing up, my family moved to a cul-de-sac when I was around 8 and my brother was in the ballpark of 9. We immediately befriended two girls who lived next door to us who were basically our exact same age, and we hung out with them every day. We would frequently go down to the bike path located behind the circle of the houses that occupied our street to ride around on our skateboards, walk to the nearby shopping center it eventually led to, and it was very long, and basically just hung out. The bike path went through the woods and went in both directions for a long time, and we would often wander into the woods and play in the creek and catch crawfish and frogs and all that huckleberry fin kind of stuff. Well, the first or second week we lived there, my brother and I and these two girls were playing around in the creek, good ways down from our house, and we went exploring into a short sewage pipe. It was barely 20 feet in total, and you could easily see both ends, which drained into a collection of large rocks. Well, after we had sufficiently crawled around in this sketchy rainwater runoff pipe, we started climbing up the rocks to leave. My brother noticed something in the rocks and picked it up to discover that it was a small, wallet-sized, and relatively recent portrait of himself that had been taken at our school for the yearbook the prior year. It had signs of aging and water damage, and it seemed to have been there for a while. I think our initial reaction was to laugh at my brother for looking goofy or something, but looking back, I can't believe I didn't see how sinister it seemed. Kept going back for a long time, and it was not the last creepy thing to happen on that bike path or in that neighborhood. We continued to hang out on the same path on a regular basis for the next 2 years or so. It would have had a lot of snakes during the summer/spring months, and we would run over a lot of them when we were riding our bikes down there, which would scare the crap out of us. The snakes were usually garden snakes or such similar harmless snakes. One time, the same group of people, my brother and these two girls, I ran over a huge black snake at least 4 feet long and writhed around in pain and started lunging defensively at us, which we decided to think was dangerous because we were kids looking for a thrill. I'm definitely not proud of this, and I regret it now, but we proceeded to chase the snake down the path and eventually cornered against a tree. My brother ended up throwing a stone, killing the snake. We poked at it for a while, and my brother was actually ballsy enough to pick it up and try to freak us out with it, and all that childish stuff. We ended up getting called into the dinner at some point, and we would meet up after and head up to the local shopping center after we were done eating. When we recovenanted, we started to head back down the path. When we got a little ways down, we noticed something ahead of us had barely moved 3 feet off the paved path. It was a cross made of bound together sticks with a snake draped over the horizontal arms of the cross. We stared at it for a long time, or at least it seemed like a while, without saying much. A runner eventually came and tore it down hastily, reprimanding us and calling us delinquents and mumbling about blasphemy. At this point, we started getting cautious about going down there at night. When I was about 16 years old, I encountered something that still bugs me to this day. I woke up around 6 a.m. on a normal weekday and went downstairs to get ready for school. No one else in my family had woken up at this point. I got in the shower, still sleepy, and could barely hold my eyes open. After a few minutes of showering, someone tried to get in. I told whoever it was that I was in the shower. The person then proceeded to aggressively open the door, or try to open the door. I saw the door handle going up and down like crazy, and she, whatever, knocked on the door harder and harder, and then it suddenly stopped. Didn't think that much about it, but when I got out of the shower, I realized that nobody was up yet. I proceeded with eating breakfast, and after a while, my dad came down the stairs. So I asked him if it was he who had wanted to use the bathroom. He said no, and that my mom and younger brother were still asleep, so it could not have been them either. And even if it had been any of my family members, they would not have tried to open the door so aggressively at 6 in the morning. When I was about 14/15, my family took my cousins because of family complications. My cousins would have scratch marks on them, and their mother, my auntie, was absolutely crazy into magic stuff, or gypsy magic stuff. Every time my cousins met, they would always say that they'd be scratched in the middle of the night by someone, and once my grandmother heard there was a huge legal battle to take my cousins away from my auntie because we thought she was hurting them and abusing them. 2 months passed, and my auntie goes into psychiatric jail, and my cousins are living with my family. One night, I wake up to my cousins out of bed crying, scratch marks on their arms. I mean, deep scratch marks. I go to my parents. They treat them and stay up with them. I return to bed, get into my blankets, and I feel a serious pain on my thigh. I get out of bed and I have 3 marks on my leg. I run down to my parents and show them. Same as time as I do, all the doors start slamming upstairs. After that, my cousins were given to their biological father, my uncle. We do not talk. Well, guys, that is it for my video. If you guys had any questions about the stories that I found, please let me know in the comments below or message me on Facebook or Insta. And I want to thank you guys so much again for viewing this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And be safe and tune in next time.